Alright, y'all, I got a little bit more here I want to read to you. So this is from David Paulides. Alright, so this is from David Paulides in his newest book. So I got a couple things here I want to read. Okay, so where I'm going to start here. So David Paulides wrote a book. And I've had this one for a while. So this is Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Giants. So these are news articles that he researched from 1680 to 1923. Alright, so there's eight newspaper articles in here from Florida where giants were found, and these were, like I said, before 1923. Newspaper articles where giants were found here in Florida. There's eight of them in here from Florida. Alright, so what I want to start with here. So here he's talking about the book I just showed you. So he's so the description of the biped has, let me start over since that car went by. Alright, so the description of the biped has remained very similar over 400 years. So the question of how long Bigfoot sightings have been around could extend thousands of years. So please do the research into biblical times and descriptions of Nephilim and see if that matches. Alright, so I know Scott Carpenter, he believed they were Nephilim as well. I don't necessarily believe that myself, just based on my research. But I do believe they're a type of human. I do not believe at all that they're any kind of ape. They're not an ape, a gorilla, nothing like that. And that's based on my own research that I've been doing. And I started out thinking, okay, these are an ape or some type of ape or something, unless I see otherwise when I first started doing my research. And I can tell you they're not any kind of ape. They're a type of human, a type of people. The Indians, the Native American Indians, used to all think that they were another tribe of people. And the things that they can do, that I found out myself they can do because I'm seeing stuff on thermal camera that we cannot see with our eyes. So there's so much stuff there that I believe that there's no way they're an ape. Alright, so anyway, let me continue here. So hundreds of people know Bigfoot by different names on many other continents. The biped's distribution is unusual. It is also known to be in places that do not make logical sense, like islands. How would a large hairy biped get to be on a remote island? So imagine you were in Africa and saw a mammal the size of a small rhino running on 2 feet across the plains. Just picture yourself being in Africa and seeing a mammal the size of a small rhino running on 2 feet across the plains. So if you took a few photos of this creature and then obtained scat, collected scat and hair samples, and brought the research back to the United States to get a full review from scientists, the academia would be enthralled and immediately put it at the top of their plate for research. So if that animal were Bigfoot, why would science show no interest in it? The scientists won't research Bigfoot. Alright, I gotta let the sirens go by. So we have love bugs are out flying around now. You'll probably see a few of them flying around me. So I'm seeing a few of them fly around. they're getting all over the vehicles. All right, so we have Bigfoot scat and hair samples and more. So we're as science's intellectual curiosity. A true researcher looks at all possibilities before coming to a hypothesis that is still open enough to accept new revelations. Science has evolved over the last 100 years. Quantum physics shows that our understanding of the world is much more complex than we thought in 1900. You must keep an open mind as we walk this trail of knowledge, from portals to multi-dimensions, wormholes and instantaneous travel. Alright, so he talks about a lot of stuff in this book here. And this book goes along with his newest movie. His movie's is the same title as the book, American Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster. So that's a movie you should be watching there. American Sasquatch by David Paulides, Man, Myth, or Monster. Okay, so from there I want to go to some of his newspaper articles. Okay, so there's one more thing here before I go to that. Okay, so he starts talking about cryptids here and multidimensional creatures. Alright, so then he goes to this. I'm trying to let some of the noise calm down because that camcorder right here, it picks up all the noise. It picks up sound really good. Alright, so he goes to this part right here. The military, he's talking about the United States military, has a nanotechnology invisibility cloak used in hyper stealth technology. It is a light bending fabric camouflage used to conceal soldiers. The technology is in use today and we have it. How did we develop this technology? I'll reference military.com's article, Nanotechnology Invisibility Cloak, from September 9, 2013. So there's a reference point right there. You can go to the source, military.com, and go to their article, Nanotechnology Invisibility Cloak, that was in September 9, 2013. So that was in 2013. It's 2026 now. So 13 years later, after they've already come out and said they had that technology. Alright, so I just wanted to start with those. And then I want to go to this article here. Okay, this is he talks here about an article that's in his Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Giants. Alright, so the Oregonian, which is a newspaper. Alright, the Oregonian. This was July 15, 1924. So he has July 15 and July 16, seriously. Alright, the Oregonian was one of the most prominent newspapers in the Pacific Northwest in the early 1900s. Their headline on July 16, 1924 read, "Big Hairy Indians, Back of Ape Tail." Even in the early part of last century, some individuals pushed the idea that the biped was an ape. This article outlined that they were another tribe of Native Americans. So this article outlined that they were another tribe of Native Americans. Alright, so this is something here that happened that they talk about in that article. a group of hikers was on the trail, and the bipeds saw them and threw rocks. So these hikers reported them to the sheriff, who stated he was getting a posse to go out and get them. So three Native American tribes, the Lumi, the Quinault, and the Clallam, got together and held a press conference. So tribal members stated that this was a tribe of people, and that they had traded with in the past. That they had traded with these in the past. They had their own language, and they would kill many of you if you killed one of them. So several articles were printed around the state that addressed many burning questions that the public had. Alright, so yeah, this one says July 16, 1924. Alright, so the tribe was called the Seotec. The Seotec. They spoke several languages, were quiet, and did not cause trouble. So they did look different. They were quite large and hairy. They had special abilities that were known throughout the native community. Alright, so check this out. They could mimic anything. Birds, animals, anything. One of the articles described a special grease that they made from bears that allowed them to be invisible. Many tribes thought the Seotics had gone extinct until this incident happened. So they would make a special grease from bears that allowed them to be invisible. And that's talking about this Bigfoot tribe, the Seotics. Alright, so the name Bigfoot didn't hit the press until the 1950s. So the name of this tribe was a big revelation. Native American tribes were reluctant to talk about this other tribe for various reasons. Namely because they never thought they would be believed, telling the sheriff that if he went out and killed a few of their tribe, that they would retaliate and kill 6 posse members must have been a sobering moment. And that's why a lot of people say that if you see a Bigfoot, don't ever try to kill them. They're never alone. So they're never alone, so don't try to kill one. Alright, so let me continue on here. Alright, so this is David Paulides still here talking. I doubt many of you have heard about these articles. So he says he found these 12 years ago and immediately started presenting them at conferences. So he's saying he couldn't believe that no other researcher was discussing this information until I realized that the vast majority were in the ape camp. So this information was contrary to what they wanted you to believe. So amazingly, the items described in this article are issues discussed about Bigfoot today. So I took all the articles made before 1925 and put them in the book Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Giants. That's what I just showed you here. So like I said, even when I started, I figured, okay, well, from everything we're seeing on TV and stuff, I'm going to figure these are an ape until I see otherwise. So that's what they do. They push the agenda that these are an ape. Alright, so the Kansas City Star, August 22nd of 1924. So that was July of 1924. This is August 1924. So they're still talking about, this is another newspaper, the Kansas City Star, talking about the same group. The headline was where the Nung-Nungs link man and the supernatural. Is an article about a biped that we know today as Bigfoot. The article calls them a different name at times. So as in this sentence, these prospectors actually seen like they claim, only what they put down as gorillas at all, but only nung-nungs. So yes sir, nung-nungs is what these were, although the Indians sometimes call them teapish or even seatics. So seatics is what the other one called them too, that the Native Americans named for them. The article explains their physical form. So it's saying that they stand an average of about 8 feet high. They run as high as 10, and young ones grade down to 7. So anywhere from 7 foot to 10 foot. Also they are hairy, like the front end of a buffalo or a sheep herder before the spring Chinook. Alright, the one amazing thing about these articles is that their explanations of behavior and abilities to mimic much of what we hear today. So here again they're talking about how they can mimic anything. They are very talented in other ways too. They can talk in bird language and hold up their end of a conversation any day with an elk. Also they concoct a bear grease, which when rubbed on makes them invisible to the naked eye and is handy for parties with their thieving ways. They can also hypnotize animals and see at night. So the article summarizes much of what we know about bipeds today. They are another tribe. They have a language. They can imitate almost anything. They stand anywhere from 7 to 10 feet tall. They are covered with hair, not fur, and they can hypnotize animals. Many people have said that if you stare into their eyes, they can hypnotize you. In northern British Columbia, there have been reports of bipeds up to 12 feet tall. So you might want to go back and list those special abilities. There are no animals in North America that I know about that can do any of those things. So that's David Paulides saying that. There are no animals in North America that I know about that can do any of those things. And for myself too, being a hunter and a woodsman all my life, there's no animals in Florida that can do that. There's no animals in Florida that can do any of those things. So if you watch my videos, I've got videos of I've got a video of one standing right behind me in the bushes that I could not see it when I was standing there looking at my my compass and getting some measurements and readings, and you could hear the birds really loud. So that was not the birds. That was not birds. That was that Sasquatch doing that. He was right there really close to me, and he was making the bird sounds right there really close. That was not birds doing that. So that's in one of my videos. So I show a lot of stuff like that. Alright, so that's the main thing I wanted to read right there. And I have something else here too that I'll talk more about too in a tracking video I'll have coming out too before long. But that's a couple of David Paulides books, and I wanted to cover some of that because a lot of this is matching up with my research, the research I've been doing, and with keeping an open mind, always keeping an open mind with all of this, and thinking, and just getting out in the woods and listening, doing a lot of listening to the birds, the animals, listening to the wind, listening to everything out there, the bugs, doing experiments. Sometimes you'll hear something while I'm doing an experiment, and then when I start the experiment again, you hear it again. And there's a lot of stuff like that's going on out there that that tells me that these are a people, and they can mimic anything too. I've been realizing that myself. They can mimic coyotes. I believe they use the coyotes. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put a a real short video here on this. This is something that me and Jason Kenzie filmed at night when we were up in the woods off trail at night. So this very first howl that you hear, it almost sounds like a person starting to do it, and then it kind of sounds like a coyote doing it. So this is not a coyote doing it, the first one. It's not a person, it's not a coyote. And then the coyotes start up really close to us. And you can even hear a couple of young ones, a couple real young coyotes. And you can hear Jason. Jason does a couple of coyote sounds back to him. And this will be in one of my videos later on. I was waiting to let Jason actually put this out. So his Jason's Searching For Sasquatch number 18. He's had it out on his YouTube for members only for over a month now, longer than that. It's really good. And then his Searching For Sasquatch 19, he's got it out on his YouTube members only right now. So once he releases these, you'll be able to see this in his video as well. And he states in there too that he does not think that's a coyote that starts up. And I've heard these from I've heard these a couple of times myself at night too before, that were further away, further distance, and you can tell the first howl is not a coyote, and then it gets the coyotes going. So I believe they can mimic coyotes, and I believe that they use the coyotes. I believe they use the coyotes as well. So I'll put that in right here at the end here and let you hear this. And I'll be putting this in actual a video later on, because this is from my GoPro at night, and I was using it mainly for audio. So I'll be putting it together in a video with my thermal camera, where I was using my thermal camera and then the GoPro for the audio. Alright, so check this out.
Coyote?
Yeah.
Oh, we got coyotes.
Woo!
Oh, they're close.
Woo!
That's so cool.
It is, yeah.
There's babies too.
Yeah.
They're close though.
Yeah, they are real
They're
close.
like just maybe 100 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo! Oh, well, that was odd. Did I say something wrong? That's odd, they just stopped.
Yeah, they just stopped, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so part of our research here, we're trying to do some measurements and some GPS coordinates. So I'm using the compass and I'm using the phone I'm using the compass on the phone, plus I'm using GPS coordinates. I'm marking a couple GPS coordinates on the Google map. Alright, so what I've been doing is getting some readings here and there as we're walking through here and checking a few directions. Okay, like this trail here, it's running at 200 degrees, which is south-southwest. So I'll go in here and check it with the phone. Okay, so the phone's showing 195 degrees. Yeah, say 195 degrees south. Okay, and then I've been using the Google Maps. Okay, so I'll mark a couple spots out here.